Sai was standing in front of a group of people. "Good to see you all, my friends. Today I think we must come together to come up with a definitive answer for the greatest question known to hunterkind," he declared. As it was revealed he was talking to the RWBY, the commander, the admiral, Aiden, and Reggie. How did monsters evolve to be the way they are? Penny wondered. What's the strongest non-elder dragon? Hazel questioned. What are the chances to run into which monsters? Emerald queried. Can we ever make peace with monsters? Ironwood asked hopefully. Which monsters will let me pet them? Ruby inquired. Of course. What do some monsters taste like? Nora wondered, everyone looking at her incredulously. It's actually not a bad question. Radhalo's tails are actually pretty tasty. Teko explained. The RWBY was then shown. Do Wyverians lay eggs? He guessed Sai's question, only for the host to immediately gun him down after asking the question. Everyone groaned at the RWBY's idiocy. Oh, this guy again. Blake sighed. Ugh. People have asked me that question before because chameleons are lizards. Ilya growled at the memories. Here's the real question. How did that idiot ever become a hunter? Weiss asked, everyone nodding their heads as they pondered the question along with her. But then, a few sweeter members of the cast were shocked and horrified when Sai fired upon the hapless glutton. Sai, no! Pyrrha exclaimed in horror. I know he was a bit of an idiot, but that's no reason to shoot him. Velvet cried out, Penny nodding along with her. However, they were even more shocked when most of the others were cheering. What is wrong with all of you? She demanded. Oh, come on, Bun Bun. You gotta admit that guy was getting on your last nerve. Coco told her. Yeah, not gonna lie, even I wanted to shoot him with Crescent Rose a few times now. Ruby admitted. All of the others looked on in shock with crickets being heard. Anyway, the question I was going to ask was, is hellfire an element or an ailment? Sai explained the question, ignoring the shock of his comrades. The cast were a double take at the host's question. Hellfire? They all asked in shock. However, that shock was quickly fading for some and being replaced with excitement. Oh, that sounds so epic! Yang exclaimed. Heck yeah, it does. I so wanna see it in action now. Coco said eagerly. I bet it's gonna be super cool and awesome. I bet it's like dragon and fire mixed together. Nora suggested. No, we saw that before from Blanzoromu and it wasn't called that. Ren reminded her. I'm wondering if it's actual fires from hell. Okay, Sai. You piqued my interests. Crow said. Aiden was then shown. Well, I'd probably say it's an ailment, considering how close it is to Dash. The ace hunter tried to give an explanation before being interrupted. The commander was the one who interrupted him. Wait a minute. What exactly is hellfire? Did we discover that heaven and the underworld exist? The head of the commission questioned in confusion. The other members of the conversation groaned at this. Sir, hellfire is the power used by the monster Magnamalo. Reggie informed his superior while looking through his books as always. The commander still seemed confused at this. And what exactly is a Magnamalo? He questioned once again, sending everyone else into a storm of complaints. The admiral was then seen. Do you not read up on the monsters of other regions? We need to know these things. He criticized his fellow First Fleet member. Sai was now standing in front of the admiral. This was the guy you decided to leave in charge of an entire colony. Really? He criticized the former leader of the commission. The less mature half of the cast laughed at the leader's blunder. Classic commissioner, Roman said. Yeah, I'm with Sai. What made the admiral think putting him in charge was a good idea? John agreed. I'm questioning the competence of the Editor Guild if they have people like these in charge. Winter stated. Sai was following wearing a ghillie mantle to disguise himself as he followed a deviljo. Hunger. It is a driving force for many creatures, even overwhelming for some. It's only natural. In order for our bodies to properly function, we need nutrients, and hunger tells us when we need those nutrients. But for carnivores, in order to gain those nutrients, you need to bring down prey. He explained as he now fought the World Eater. And for that, solitary need the speed, power, tactics, and special edge to give them the advantage to bring down their prey, as well as being willing to do whatever it takes to get their fill. The host continued as a Tobi-Kadachi was now fleeing through the forest to avoid an unknown threat, while being chased by a strange purple fireball. And if there is one creature that will stop at nothing to get its meal and acquire the nutrients it needs, it is known as the Malice tiger wyvern, Magnamalo. Sai declared as the Tobi-Kadachi was cornered and slain, seen in the mouth of a massive fanged wyvern clad in purple flames. A lot of the cast, mostly the teens, but some adults, felt a shiver go up their back at the title. Malice Tiger Wyvern. That's a name that commands power, Adam said. Right? No one can deny that title is badass. Neo agreed, now eager to see the monster. It's definitely not a name you'll forget anytime soon. Summer agreed as well. I just wish it didn't have malice in it. RWBY said, already sad because this likely means it's not a monster she'll be able to just walk up and pet. But then, a few particular individuals were horrified at the monster preying upon a Tobi-Kadachi. Toby, no. The Cinnamon Trio, Nora and Winter all cried out in heartbreak. Holy crap, that thing looks so cool, Young said. I know, right? That purple and red look is fierce. Coco agreed. Loving those purple flames, too. I'm guessing that must be that Hellfire Sai was talking about. Crow theorized. It certainly looks more menacing than normal fire, or even Guanzoromu's golden fire. Cinder added, I'm quite a fan of that yellow plating. Ashbin admitted. Agreed. It almost looks like it's wearing its own suit of armor, Glinda said in amazement. Plus, those horns are beautiful. So ornate. It reminds me of a samurai. Ren noted. Maybe I should make a new line of close-quarters combat Elysian knights with similar-looking armor. We can call them Elysian samurai. Ironwood pondered. A pink-haired huntress with a bow now stealthily observed the monster from a cliff above it. A powerful and imposing beast, Magnamalo is almost like a fusion of Zinogre, Barioth, Nargacuga, Nergigant and a tiger. Sai explained as he was seen in combat against the listed monsters, before showing footage of a white tiger. Poor Toby, Ruby said, before shaking her head. No, don't be biased. Don't be biased, she reminded herself. Thankfully, that came easily when Sai pointed out its similarities to other monsters. It's like all my favorite monsters fused into one, she said in awe. To be fair, isn't almost every monster on your list of favorites? Weiss questioned. But you know, now that he says it and showed those monsters, I definitely see the resemblances. Emerald admitted. By the way, that pink-haired huntress, is she Dash? Ilya started to ask. Yep. Another one of Sai's daughters. Syra Blade Farron, daughter of Sai and Lightning, the pink-haired woman with the gunblade from his Royal Ludroth video. Katana answered, earning a few neat S from the teens. Syra was observing the beast from afar again. So, firstly, it's absolutely massive, easily contending with Zinogre for the role of largest fanged wyvern. It is a lovely shade of purple with a red underbelly and a lot of yellow armor plating. Its head and face very much resemble a tiger, like I said, but it also possesses a pair of tusks that could give Barioth a run for its money. Interestingly, however, these fangs can actually fold back under its cheeks when not in use. It has a pair of beautiful ornate horns, almost like a samurai. Its powerful forelegs end in four-clawed digits, but more importantly, they both possess a single serrated blade that mostly remains folded back parallel to the leg, but can be deployed as a deadly weapon in combat, almost like Nargacuga's blade wings. Its long and powerful tail ends in a spear tip that can open up almost like a trident, and lastly, its back is lined with bony, spiky blades that deploy when enraged, very similar to Nergigant. Sai explained as the beast's unique features were shown. Ruby squealed at Sai listing off its offensive adaptations. Those wrist blades are so cool, she exclaimed, bouncing in place. That's a pretty impressive list of weapons, Penny said, a bit unnerved. So, it has giant fangs and basically another giant, serrated nail on the side of each arm. So you could say this thing really fights. Tooth and nail? Yang asked, causing everyone to groan. Yang, even I have to say that's a stretch, Neo told her. Still, it's quite impressive. It essentially has all the tools of the samurai, its wrist blades, swords, its fangs, knives, its plating, armor, and its tail, a spear. Adam listed, approving of all the creature's method of attacks. Plus the back spikes, but that's not really a samurai thing, Ilya said. Syra was now fighting against the fanged wyvern. So, Magnamalo looks very mean and intimidating, but what is it actually like? The answer to that is very mean and intimidating. It is extremely aggressive and territorial, hostile towards basically everything. To make matters worse, it has an extremely high metabolism, so it needs very large amounts of food at all times, similar to Deviljo. Also like good old Joe, he will go as far as eating the very bones of its prey. This is very important, but more on that later. It sees anything it encounters as potential prey, regardless of its size or strength. Even elder dragons are fair game to this guy, meaning he's part of the very prestigious and exclusive club of monsters that can fight elder dragons, the only other members being Rajan, Deviljo, Espinas, Odagaran and Lanagaran. The host warned as the other members of this club were shown, before they were all seen dancing together. Oh, good. Another aggressive monster. Glinda sighed. An aggressive gluttonous monster, meaning it will try to eat people as well. Winter groaned. The knowledge of it eating bones unnerved quite a few, especially John and Velvet. That's horrifying, the rabbit faunus said, clinging tightly to Coco. Why does it need to do that? What's the purpose? John asked in fear. Oh, there's a reason. But we're not there yet, Teko assured him. Well, that's certainly a way to get calcium, Blake said nervously. However, while many were disturbed, many more found this fact awesome. Oh, that is so hardcore. It leaves nothing left of its prey, Yang said amazed. Hey, that's a meal for it and clean up for the forest. Win-win, Crow added. But that's pretty cool it fights elder dragons, RWBY said. Then, they all laughed when they saw the monsters dancing. That's awesome. Loving Deviljo's moves, too. Nora giggled. Ooh, I like the look of that ice wolf creature, Weiss said, observing the fanged wyvern standing on its hind legs. That's Lanagaran. We'll get to him at some point, I'm sure, Katana said, texting Sai to get to it. Syra was now riding on the back of a crane-like monster to help fight the barbarous beast. And thus, Magnamalo is found in many different locales, mainly the shrine ruins, but it's also been seen in the Frost Islands and lava caverns. but it will go anywhere there are large concentrations of monsters for it to feed on. Sai explained. Before Syra was seen in a siege, firing her bow at a small army of monsters while several other villagers fired heavy artillery at the beasts. This is a problem for Camera Village, as every 50 years, they were inexplicably plagued by an event known as the Rampage, where whole hordes of monsters went on a rampage and attacked Camera Village. So, obviously, this large gathering of monsters attracted the monster that constantly needs to feed on other monsters, so Camera was dealing with a small army of monsters, as well as an Elder Dragon level threat in Magnamalo. Sai explained as a Magnamalo attacked Syra and a couple children, even with an Arzuros already in its mouth. Oh come on! Monsters attack in hordes now? Roman asked in horror. Don't worry. There was a specific cause and that cause won't be in Remnant. Razara assured her. A shame. I wouldn't mind testing myself against a horde or two. Hazel said. Still, that's got to be horrifying to deal with. Singular monsters are already a problem, so a small army must be devastating. Hira said, worried for the people. Oh, don't worry, they've had more than enough time to prepare countermeasures for it. Teko assured them. Wait, are those children? Why are they out on the battlefield? Summer asked in horror. It's an army of monsters attacking their village. They need all hands on deck. And those two more than proved themselves. Katana assured them. Well, that is quite a shocking level of gluttony to already have a large target in its mouth, but seek to bring down 3 more creatures that could barely provide a snack. Ashbin said, slightly concerned. Or it's just stupid. Cinder scoffed. What kind of idiot throws away a bigger meal for small stuff? She used to live off scraps. She knew better than to be picky. The pink-haired huntress sent waves of arrows at the tiger-like wyvern. So, you must be thinking if this thing can take on small armies of monsters and even elder dragons, then it must be a very capable hunter, right? And you would be correct in that assumption. As you might have guessed from its bulky build, it has both incredible strength and durability, but also a shocking level of speed and agility for its large size, allowing it to attack very quickly back to back. And it has a moveset very similar to Zenogre, the big paw slams and swipes, now made deadlier thanks to its arm blades, the flippy tail slams, which are harder to avoid because of the trident shape, 360 spins of destruction, straight up charging you down or leaping at you from giant distances, all of which gives its target little breathing room to recover. And its highly dexterous spear-like tail gives it great reach when attacking, as it also tries to stab its tail out and impale you. The host explained as his daughter dove out of the way to avoid the beast's tail slamming down on her. Okay, pretty cool, but nothing we haven't seen before. Emerald said. Agreed. It needs a bit more than that to impress me. Adam agreed. Well, we know that purple fire is still coming up, Penny pointed out. Yes, but we still have no idea what it does or if it's any more than normal fire, Hazel told her. But hey, all of those are still pretty cool moves. And it's coming from a cool-looking monster. It's got my come to remnant vote already, Coco said. Syra then spun to the side to avoid the beast slamming its paws down on her. But as if speed and power weren't enough, this is also a very smart and cunning creature who knows how to use the entirety of its body as a weapon in combat, throwing itself to the ground and rolls on the ground, oftentimes with the spikes on its back extended, basically making itself in a spiky steamroller. And also it can deliver some powerful bites. But it also uses its giant fangs to catch and hold a hunter in its teeth, shake them like a rag doll, then throw them into the air. Not to mention, thanks to their high metabolism, they are very quick to recover from most injuries that are not fatal, as long as there's enough food around. Sy warned as Syra continued to fire dozens of arrows upon it. Well, there goes your "it's just stupid" theory, Cinder. Young told her. Cunning and intelligence are two different things. It's still an idiot to throw away a giant stack for 3 Atlas fries. It's going to take a lot to convince me it's actually smart. The half-maiden countered. Oh, you sweet summer child, Teko and Razara said together. Still, that is quite a problem. That immediately put this creature on a higher threat list than quite a few others. Ashbin said. There's nothing more dangerous or difficult than a cunning enemy. Ironwood agreed. But then, the Magnamalo started to release purple flames from its body. However, there are plenty of monsters that are strong, fast and smart, so even with all that, you still need something else to give you an edge, and Magnamalo has exactly that. You see, Magnamalo has dozens of vents all over its body. Sy began, Syra having managed to knock the beast out and closely observe the aforementioned vents. By eating and metabolizing the bones of its prey, its body produces a wholly unique power that is expelled from these vents. And when I say wholly, I mean it with a W, because it definitely isn't this version of the word. He continued, the words holy and holy appearing on the screen as he spoke as the purple fireball chased the Tobikadachi once again. And that power is known as Hellfire. Sy declared with a demonic reverberation to his voice as the Magnamalo approached the smaller fanged wyvern. Neo and Velvet couldn't help but jump at the monster bursting into flames. That's a lot of fire, Velvet said fearfully. Yeah? And something about it being so dark and purple makes it feel more dangerous somehow. Neo agreed, moving a bit closer to Young. It's a little scary, but it's still kind of cool, RWBY said, having bundled up in her hood, but slowly emerging from it. Yeah, come on, Neo. That fire looks badass. Yang told the former mute, then smirked. But I bet mine's still hotter. So I'll burn up that bad monster and protect you if I have to, she said, activating her semblance briefly. Neo giggled and hugged her at this. My hero, she said. Still, I'm looking forward to seeing these flames in action. Hope they don't disappoint, Crow said. Syra now faced the Magnamalo as it unleashed its dark flames. While we're still unsure if this is an element or simply an ailment, this hellfire manifests itself in several different forms, but most often seen as a purple fire that gives me Vietnam War flashbacks of Doku. The host explained as a samurai in black armor was shown, with purple flames behind the face mask of his helmet. A few of them were interested when they saw the samurai. Ooh, who is that guy? He looks pretty cool, Nora asked. However, they all became nervous when they saw the look of rage on Katana's face. Katana? She asked nervously. His name was Doku. He was a greater fiend, a powerful kind of demon. He attacked the Hayabusa village to steal a cursed dark dragon blade, a sacred artifact of the clan's history. And in the process, he killed the shrine maiden who guarded the blade, Kureha, as well as Sai as he was helping her guard it, as well as my fiancé, Ryu Hayabusa, and myself when we tried to stop him from taking the blade. Katana said. The cast were shocked at this. You and Sai have died before? Ruby asked in shock. Yes, but one of our brothers has the power to resurrect the dead up to 5 times. Katana said. Well, sorry you lost your fiancé. Weiss said sadly. It's all right. He was also resurrected by his village's guardian falcon spirit. And him and I killed Doku later. Twice. Once, his physical body, then his spirit later after it left his body. The hostess explained. That might be the most badass story I've ever heard. Adam said. The beast was now releasing purple smoke towards the huntress. So, as I was saying, this hellfire takes many forms, but the constant between those forms is that it's highly volatile and can be triggered to explode as Magnamalo wishes. It can use these explosions to further power its already insane physical attacks, release them as fireballs, expel a thick cloud of explosive gases, or let out a roar to cause a blast of flames, usually done after it grabs a hunter in its mouth and tosses them in the air, so you get chomped on, thrown into the air, then blown up. And furthermore, it can charge up hellfire in its tail and thrust it forward to launch forth a burst of purple flame. And it can inflict you with an ailment known as Hellfire Blight, basically an even deadlier version of Blast Blight. Sai warned as several of these attacks were shown. Fire that explodes, huh? Now I'm interested, Roman said. Okay, it's not a thunder monster, but I need this thing, Nora declared. Get in line, because I'm getting one first. Young said. You do remember you'll have to pay for food for these things, right? Summer reminded them. This question was ignored, however. Hellfire Blight, huh? That just sounds epic. Crow praised. I know, right? That'd be a great name for a rock song. Nora agreed. Maybe death metal, but still, it'd be an epic song. Young added. Syra was now up on a large village gate, firing down at the beast. So, you might be thinking, okay, so I'll just stay at long range where his fireballs and explosions can't reach me, right? Sai questioned rhetorically, before a donkey and a large, green-skinned man looked at each other, before bursting out laughing. I am truly sorry to say that is not the case. Because Magnamalo takes a page from the book of Katsuki Bakugo, using its explosions at the right time to launch itself with the recoil, either to launch itself great heights vertically, or great distances at high speeds horizontally. It can even use this power to gain temporary flight long enough to catch and bring down powerful and highly capable flyers, such as rat halos, or even Kushala Deora. Let me say that again, this ground-dwelling monster can beat highly skilled flyers known as kings of the sky or masters of the air, in aerial combat. The Sapphire Star declared as, indeed, the Magnamalo launched itself into the air repeatedly to grapple a Kushala Deora and force it to the ground. Yeah, that's a good question. Oh, it's rhetorical, isn't it? Penny realized. Then, they saw the donkey and ogre laughing. Does that answer your question? Weiss asked. It does, and it does not bode well. Ren stated. Agreed. I definitely have a bad feeling about this. Winter said. And that bad feeling was justified as they saw the beast launching itself across the field. It launches itself with recoil like we do. RWBY exclaimed. Okay, that definitively proves this thing is smart. You were definitely wrong calling it stupid now, Cinder. Emerald told her in shock. My mistake. I'll start respecting it now. Cinder said, still struggling to process what she was seeing. Indeed. That has to put it close to, if not on the same intellectual level as a human. Ironwood said in a small panic. Quite. That means that nowhere is out of this creature's reach. Even shooting at it from a bullhead isn't completely safe. Ashbin said in concern. Then, they were left in disbelief when they saw the barbarous beast tangling with a Kushala Deora in the air. It can defeat flying monsters in aerial combat. I can't believe it. That's a level of determination and tenacity I'm not sure any of us could match. Pyrrha said in awe. That is so awesome. Nora cheered. I know, right? I know I launch myself around with recoil, but I've never tried to do that to smack some Nevermore out of the air. Young agreed. Yeah. That could definitely come in handy against a lot of annoying flying Grimm. Blake said, shuddering as she remembered Team RWBY's first fight together against the giant Nevermore. The fight continued as the hellfire on the beast's back looked more intense by the minute. And the more Magnamalo charges it, the more concentrated and powerful the hellfire becomes, starting as the dark purple smoke, condensing into fire and changing color to a deep and surprisingly menacing pink. And once it powers up enough, Magnamalo starts glowing a bluish-purplish white as it is fully primed, at which point it will bound all throughout the area, leaving hellfire in its wake, before leaping into the air and launching itself at its target at high speeds, releasing a devastating explosion upon impact. Sai explained as the creature ran throughout the area, before shooting itself towards Syra like a missile, creating a massive blast. Ooh. Okay, it's still a little scary, but I like how the flames change color. And then, they saw the pink flames. That is so cool. RWBY, Nora and Neo all cried out together. Ah? I want pink flames. Neo whined. Did you forget your semblance or something? Ilya asked. But that's just a visual thing, not real flames. She whined, but still made the flames on her body with her semblance. Then, all jaws hit the floor upon seeing the missile attack. So freaking epic! All of the teens, plus Crow, exclaimed at the move. That is amazing. It's like me zooming with my semblance, but it explodes. RWBY cheered. And with how it runs around like that beforehand, it basically cuts off any escape routes. Adam added, leaving anyone caught in the middle as a sitting duck when it comes in for the big boom. Crow laughed, making an explosion sound. Syra was now seen on Magnamalo's back, causing it to slam into cliffs. So, all this must sound very daunting, but Magnamalo is still far from invincible. First off, its main weakness is water, that obviously dampens its fire abilities. So, it's lucky it can often be found in the same locations as Almudron, Mizutsun and Tetranodon. Sai began, showing the two leviathans and a strange duck-billed, turtle-shelled frog creature. In addition, its tail can be broken and, while its hellfire is a deadly advantage, it is also a dangerous liability. You see, because it is so volatile, it can be detonated by being attacked from where it leaks from its body, causing it to explode inside the beast and bring it down. And even Hellfire Blight can be useful, as by grappling away with a wire bug, you will leave behind a small plum of hellfire that can be detonated and knock down the barbarous beast. The host informed as Syra zipped into the air, firing down on the beast's back and causing its hellfire to detonate. Oh, thank goodness. This creature has weaknesses. I was starting to think it was unbeatable. Glinda sighed in relief. I still think it's unbeatable. Velvet said nervously. Unless it's immortal, nothing's unbeatable if you try hard enough, Hazel told her. However, many of them were intrigued when they saw the turtle-like platypus. "Ah, what is that?" "It's super cute," Emerald said. "Indeed. Quite the strange mix, but it clearly works. And it's adorable." Winter cooed. "That's Tetranodon. We'll get to him at some point. He's certainly an interesting one," Katana said, wondering what they'll think when they see the amphibian try to waterboard the smaller bear beasts in its own stomach. Syra continued to fight the beast. "So after all this, you might be thinking, oh, my God. This might be the most dangerous monster I've ever heard of. We need to drive this thing to extinction." And to that I ask, why are you so eager to make something extinct? But in all seriousness, while it is highly aggressive and dangerous, it's not nearly the monster it's made out to be. It's only been a problem in Camera Village twice in 50 years when it was chasing another highly dangerous calamity. Other than that, it's never been known to pose a serious problem. And it undoubtedly has a role in keeping monster populations down and keeping elder dragons in check. None more so than Ibushi and Narwa, the host explained as a pair of serpentine elder dragons were shown. The Cinnamon Trio gasped at Sai's rhetorical question. "No creature should be extinct," they said together. "Girls? Did you all forget about the monsters that pose serious dangers to the ecosystem and even the world, not just people?" Ashbin asked. Deviljo, Gormagala, Shara Ishvalda and Xenojiva/Safijiva. Penny listed. "Okay. I think we get it," Pira said with a sweat drop. Syra now faced off against the larger yellow serpent dragon in an underground den. Now, we'll get to these two in due time, but the gist is, they are immensely powerful, highly dangerous elder dragons that were attempting to breed and produce massive numbers of little Ibushi and Narwa into the world, which would undoubtedly cause some serious problems. Sai explained, before a Magnamalo suddenly jumped into the den with the two, attacking the elder dragon. But in the darkest moment as a brave huntress faced the female elder dragon, Narwa, a Magnamalo appeared and attempted to bring down the elder dragon as well. Likely only to feed on the beast, but the point is, its help was instrumental in stopping Narwa and her brood. And it's quite possible Magnamalo is even a natural predator of these elder dragons and keeps their numbers in line. The host informed as Syra controlled the Magnamalo to seriously damage the expecting elder dragon. "Oh, no. Not that Narwa monster again," Weiss cried out. "Those mouths are so freaky. Why would they develop something like that?" Summer shrieked along with her. But then they saw the Magnamalo fighting alongside Syra and the huntress even riding on its back. "Okay, I'm not scared of this thing anymore. It's saving the world from elder dragon overpopulation. It's just like Nergigant, Ruby said happily. Ruby? Try to take it with a grain of salt. Evenside pointed out it probably only wanted to eat Narwa, not save everyone. Ren reminded, I don't care. It's a hero. I'd still think Roman was a good guy if he saved a kid from a Grimm. Ruby said, Hey, I am a good guy now, Roman said indignantly. Syra caught the beast in a pitfall trap and managed to capture it. And that is Magnamalo, a creature as fascinating as it is dangerous. With a body where every single part can be a weapon and one of, if not the most versatile element or ailment we know of. And in addition, its armor is incredible, looking like a demon samurai. Sai declared as both the male and female versions of the armor were seen in all their glory. Many of the cast were quite impressed with the armor. Oh, that looks so badass, Young said, earning several nods. It looks like a samurai. Noble, yet intimidating. Ren noted. I know, right? The purple and the red work really well together. They definitely mix instead of clash. And I love the little claws they have, too. Coco noted. I don't know, guys. I feel like I'm looking in the faces of vicious predators. In both armors. The male armor's eyes were glowing red, I swear. Velvet said nervously. Syra was seen observing the monster from a distance again. So, that is Magnamalo, but we aren't done quite yet, as there is a variant, the scorned Magnamalo. The host declared as a larger and visibly battered and scarred Magnamalo was seen in a ruined castle with flames all about. Many were deeply intimidated by this larger and darker version of the monster. Whoa! This thing looks like it means business, John said nervously. Its shell looks like it's gotten a lot darker. And its hellfire's already pink. Blake noted. You should be paying more attention to those arm blades. They're way longer than the normal ones. Someone could use those as long swords, Cinder pointed out. Pretty sure its fangs are longer, too. Emerald noted. This new Magnamalo was now engaged in brutal combat with a Xenogre. So a variant is a member of a species that has gone through some form of extreme change, though not something like a mutation that makes it unique like a deviant. Any member of a species could theoretically become a variant, and in this case, this is a Magnamalo that has been put through the ringer, getting into countless fights, accumulating an absolutely daunting number of wounds and battle injuries, similar to scarred Yain Garuga, or Dead-Eye Yain Garuga, or One-Eared Yain Garuga. Sai explained before trailing off as the variant finished off the Xenogre. Oh, that's so cool. So it's like a war veteran who's seen many rounds of combat. Ruby said dramatically. Just like Yain Garuga. She cheered. Good. Then that means it knows how to put up a fight, Hazel declared. Then, a few of them were impressed with how the Magnamalo defeated the Zinogre. "Ooh, he did the anime move," Blake noted. "And yes, the classic last-minute slash. Always a classic." Adam agreed. 1. The familiar face of RWBY was seen fighting the beast. And it is these injuries that make it stand out from the normal Magnamalo, in addition to a much large size. Many parts of its shell and armor are chipped away, if not entirely broken, such as how its back spikes are gone and the shell on its back is just more jagged instead. And, most notably, many of them will have broken horns and will even be missing an eye. But not everything is broken and, in fact, some things are even longer, such as its fangs or its forearm blades, which are somehow even more serrated. And this Magnamalo is constantly outputting hellfire, constantly shrouded by pink flames, which remember is hellfire at its most volatile. The host informed as RWBY dodged or blocked the beast's attacks, striking back whenever possible. "Dang. He's not lying, that thing looks beaten up. And totally badass," Yang said excitedly. "You know what they say, chicks dig scars," Crow told her. "And it's always in pink fire mode." "Awesome," Nora cheered. "Pink fire is best fire," Neo agreed. "Oh, you might change your mind soon," Razara said. The beast was now attacking relentlessly in its assault on the hunter. And these injuries are also the cause of its personality, which makes me think I'd be safe snuggling up to a savage Deviljo. It has been given the title of the ultimate Malice. It is incredibly aggressive and even vindictive, brutally attacking anything that enters its territory. It goes beyond just aggressiveness, as it seems to absolutely hate all living things around it. Sai explained as it even attacked a Rajan, which RWBY then used to fight the variant. It's not even all that keen on taking care of itself, as it will recklessly attack any living creature it sees. The only thing it cares about is expanding and defending its territory, getting stronger and fueling its hellfire. I've been told that this is due to their horns being a status symbol amongst Magnamalo society, and having their horns broken leads them to becoming outcasts. But this seems to only be a theory amongst the hunter community, with no proof behind it. The host explained as the beast was engaged in a turf war with the rat halos. However, everyone was shocked and horrified when they heard Sai's comment on its personality. He has to be kidding, right?" Emerald asked. "He has to be. There's no way he'd be safer near a savage Deviljo. It's not nearly as big, it can't be nearly that powers," Glinda said, trying to convince herself more than anything. "Well, Nurjigant and Rajang are both smaller than Savage Joe, but we've seen them take some down in turf wars," Ren pointed out. "Ren, now is really not the time to be correcting people," John told him. that level of fury and hatred. It's almost sounding like a miniature Fatalis. Weiss cried out. A cyborg ninja labeled me was then seen talking to someone. Nice argument, Redditor. Why don't you back that up with a source? He demanded, pointing his sword at the person. Said person was a man in a business suit, labeled as Redditor, stood atop a giant mech. My source is that I made it the FUCK up, he declared, pointing his cigar back at the cyborg. Thankfully, this dread was washed away with the clip that side played, earning much-needed laughter from the crew. I guarantee that would be Father's reaction to being asked about statistics he made up. Winter giggled. I'm almost positive I've heard Salem say that before. Cinder laughed as well. I am totally using that line at some point. Young said. The beast's attacks somehow became even more aggressive as it combined hellfire to its moves. And fitting with its new level of aggression, its fighting style is now even more insane. It's faster, more powerful, and it knows how to use its longer fangs and particularly its longer to deadly effect. And, unlike normal Magnamalo, who tends to switch between hellfire attacks and physical attacks, scorned Magnamalo ADDS hellfire to its already difficult to avoid attacks, forcing you to dodge a very fast, very large and very sharp wall of muscle, as well as fireballs and explosions. And speaking of its hellfire, it has gained a mastery over these abilities far beyond its normal counterpart, using more complex and wide-reaching explosive attacks. It can even concentrate hellfire in its gas form into its arm blades to make them deadlier. I bet you thought that was enough, but you'd be wrong. Because it has another stage, raging hellfire, that turns the fire red, lets it inflict dragon blight and makes it even more aggressive. Sai warned as the variant knocked out his friend. Oh, come on. It's exploding fire. Why did it need to get deadlier? Emerald complained. And where does it even get the dragon blight from? It doesn't have any special organ for it, does it? Ironwood demanded. How does it even get more aggressive and angry? There has to be a limit on how angry something can get, isn't there? Velvet cried out in fear. Yes. Because anger floods your body with adrenaline to increase your blood pressure and heart rate. And if it just keeps going up and not stopping, you eventually have a heart attack. This thing should literally be so angry, it dies. Penny exclaimed. The hunter was now mounted atop the Rajang to fight the beast once again. So, that might sound daunting, but there is still hope to beating this beast. It is still weak to water and thunder has actually become more effective on this version and, of course, that volatile hellfire can still be used against it and its tail can be severed. But also, this version of Magnamalo also stuns quite easily, so all my hammer and hunting horn users out there, take Thanos' advice and go for that head. The host advised as RWBY mounted and used a Magnamalo to finally put a stop to this raging beast. Nora gasped at this. "Alright. I have a hammer. I could totally take this thing down. I'll be MVP if they come to Remnant." Nora cheered. The rest of Team JNPR looked in fear at this. "I'm not the only one who thinks that's a bad idea, right?" John asked quietly. "No. It would be a disaster if she tried going after one of them. Especially on her own." Pyrrha agreed, equally quiet. "We definitely have to keep even more of an eye on her than we already do now." Ren added with equal silence. The hunter was shown in combat with the beast once more. And that is all the information we have on scorned Magnamalo. It is an incredibly feared creature and for good reason. But if you manage to bring one down and come back alive, there is no denying you will be a better hunter for it. And its armor. Well, why don't we hear from the man himself? RWBY, your thoughts, please. Sai called to his friend as everything went black with the sound of static. RWBY was now modeling the armor, which was incredibly stylish and intimidating, somehow even having two small blades controlled by hellfire floating on either sides of its head. "God damn, that's some good armor," the hunter said, rather pleased with his new look, before everything went black. There were two main reactions among the cast. The first being from the more rational members. Are those swords floating?" Glinda asked as she struggled to process what she was seeing. Weisai started to twitch at this. These monsters are already ridiculous and pushing the laws of physics and reality to points I can barely stand, and even some of these weapons are completely insane. I do not need armor breaking the rules of reality as well," she complained. While the most excitable members of the cast, well, they were excited. "That's so awesome!" they exclaimed. "Floating swords! That is so cool!" RWBY cheered. "I know, right? Especially if they can actually fly and attack our target," Young said. "That'd just make things too easy. And I love it." Crow laughed. "And the fire still looks super cool." Nora cried out happily. "It's like they're possessed by wicked little ghosts." Summer gushed. Syra was seen once more stealthily observing a normal Magnamalo from the high ground. And thus, we have come to the end of our knowledge on Magnamalo and its variant. It is definitely intimidating and dangerous, given its aggressive nature, and while its high metabolism and need to feed can be worrisome, I don't think it's quite on the same level of danger as the World Eater, DeViljo. It is creatures like these that play a vital role in keeping the population of other creatures in check, and it's one of the few monsters other than Nergigant that can keep elder dragons in line. And while its power may be called hellfire, it keeping the population of more problematic monsters down might just make this creature a heaven sent. Sai finished as Syra finished her observation and grappled away with her wire bugs. Wow! Sai's really getting good at these closing thoughts. Neo said. Right? This thing is terrifying, but he actually made it seem like it's not so bad. That takes skill. Blake agreed. Or it just means Magnamalo is amazing and should be cherished. Ruby corrected. It's not that. John denied. It's definitely that. Cinder said. So, what did you think? Razara asked. I loved it. Ruby said the millisecond after the question left Razara's lips. It looks like an awesome warrior demon samurai monster. It has blades on its body and its hellfire is awesome. Scorned Magnamalo is still scary because it's so aggressive, but it's still so cool. She cheered. I know, right? Eating the bones of its prey is hardcore, like I said, but then turning it into exploding fire. That has to be one of the most epic things ever. Young agreed. And it's smart and knows how to use its body and its powers to its advantage. You gotta appreciate that kind of brains and skill. Crow added. Yeah, we need to have this thing on Remnant. I wanna fight it. Both versions, even. Nora declared. I agree. There's plenty of monsters that could be passed over, but this is a worthy opponent. It would give us the fight of our lives. I have to fight one. Adam agreed. You're all crazy. That thing's terrifying. It's way too vicious and scary. It'll kill everything. Velvet said. Miss Scarlatina has a point. This creature's aggression and metabolism could prove to be a serious problem. Glinda concurred. But do you remember what Sai told us about it? He said it was only a danger every 50 years during the rampage. Nora reminded, desperate to keep the chance to have them on Remnant. And it will be great for keeping monster populations down. Remember how we were worried we'd have too many Ludroth running around? Young added, Don't worry, Glinda. I'm sure the huntsmen and huntresses of Remnant will be able to handle it. But to be safe, I'll tweak them so they cannot become scorned Magnamalos. Katana said, causing the thrill-seekers to deflate it and all the intellectuals to sigh in relief. 1. So, what will we be seeing next? Ashbin questioned. Well, I believe we've reached the end of Rage's lores, so I guess we're done until Sai makes another. Katana said, before suddenly receiving a notification on her phone. Huh? 1 second. She said, pulling out the device and checking her messages. At which point, it seemed like she was getting flooded with notifications if the repeating Beta ring was anything to go by. One after another after another after another. Alright, I get it. Katana screamed. Everything okay? Ruby asked. Katana took a deep breath, then sighed. Yeah, I've just been thoroughly informed by a friend of mine that there are still some videos Rage didn't add to his list. so we've still got a few more after all. Starting with a dragon many people to believe to not even be from the world, descended from space itself. Duramutera. The hostess declared, starting the next video.